We are live. Hello, everyone, to another episode of the Substacks Writers Salon. And we have today someone who's been is very popular and very well known in the Substack sphere, David. I mean, just look at all these people who are joining now. I can't keep up. I'm sure they're not joining for me. They're they're joining for you, David. Um,
I'm sure.
uh, David, I think you and I were chatting before, like we were chatting in the green room before before we going live, and I think today the focus is not gonna be about like the tricks and tips of Substack growth. We talk a lot about that. I think I want to go more niche, and I'm gonna niche down, and I talk about selling books.
Yep.
And you're an author, published a number of books, and you've been very active on Substack, talking about your books. And I am, I've been watching you and see how you do it. I'm honestly not doing a good job selling my books the way you're doing it. Like yesterday, I noticed in the office hours, you mentioned your upcoming book, so that's nice. So, if you can tell me what is your strategy about selling your books on Substack and beyond, but we can start on Substack. And if you want, you can first introduce yourself, tell everyone who's joining who you are, what you do, and all of that.
Yeah. No, thanks, Natasha. Really appreciate you having me here. Yeah, as Natasha said, I'm David. I'm on Substack. I'm an author. I'm a writer. I'm a creator and small business owner. And Natasha and I have been in touch now for maybe the last year or two. I think we've been speaking
Yeah.
on Substack for a while, which is cool. And yeah, as Natasha said, I've been writing books and selling books. That I've worked with small publishers on, and that I've self-published myself, and been really trying to experiment with ways to promote those books over the last sort of couple of years. So that's been a fun process, and we're going to talk more about that today. And I guess, Natasha, to answer your first question, I think the initial thing that I do a lot on Substack to promote books is just to talk about them at every available opportunity. So you mentioned about the Substack live office hours I did yesterday, which I do once a week, and I'll almost always bring up my books at some point in that conversation and just try and bring them into the conversation in an organic way. And just mention that I have them. Like for instance, like here's one here. So there's one of my books, and you can definitely check it out later if you want to. But yeah, I think it's just trying to be organic and human about it, and try to not make things sound like an ad whenever I'm talking about books. Just try and weave it into conversation naturally, because I think people on Substack in particular really connect with the real human side of us as creators, not the real polished kind of often kind of AI scripted side. I think so. I think if you can sell books in that same human way, it definitely has the most tangible impact, I think.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And how did your efforts reflect in the book sales? Did you see an uptick in, or do you see the majority of people who are reading and buying your books are from Substack? What is, what is the ROI on or your efforts?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to say what the ROI is exactly, because you can't ever really tell if someone is seeing something on Substack or TikTok or Instagram or wherever. But I do know from what I do that a lot of people see my books. They find out about my books through somebody else, through word of mouth, and that in particular happens on TikTok. I've approached a lot of people over the last few weeks about my book that's coming out this week, and something they say a lot to me in direct messages is, "Oh, I know about this book. I heard somebody else talking about it. I'm excited to read it." So I think in particular, if you can get other people talking about your book, it starts to generate a bit of buzz and a bit of excitement about it ahead of it coming out, and then you can start to see that reflected in sales happening on Ingram Spark, which is the platform that I use. You can see an uptick in sales, and obviously around the time a book comes out is whenever you'll see the most sales coming through. So that's like kind of the real peak point. And I'm always looking at ways that I can find more eyes and more readers for my current books that are already in existence, and trying to find ways to promote this, yeah, in an organic way too. So I'm always open to talk about that, Natasha, with you if you've come up with anything too in terms of promoting things in a like passive kind of way to your audience.
Yeah. I mean, okay, so you mentioned a lot of things, and I want to just kind of slow down and try to unpack what you mentioned. So you mentioned in the beginning that you had a small publisher and now you're self-publishing. So are you self-publishing all of your books, and why? And yeah, if you could first, let's talk about that. What? Because last time we talked, I think I had you on my podcast,
Yeah.
and you had the publisher, and I think you were about to publish your first book. A lot of things changed since then, and you're a superstar. See,
Yeah.
I recognized your genius early on. No, but so what changed? What happened with the small publisher, and why did you know go solo and all of that? So let's slow down and tell us what happened.
Yeah. So, basically, with the small publisher, I am still with that guy because I'm publishing my young adult fantasy series with them. So, what I decided to do was with my adult horror novels, I'm self-publishing those through my own uh, label, I guess, or publishing house, which doesn't actually exist yet as a fully fledged official thing. But I plan to sort of fully set that up in future, under like my own kind of label for my horror side of things. At the minute, it's just very much a self-publishing thing, like through me. But I know that with horror in particular, it's quite a niche thing, and not every publisher necessarily wants to promote horror as much, especially if they've already promoted something like fantasy to like young people. So I wanted to keep that separate and just focus on that for myself. It means I'm more in control then of how I promote it and the kind of people that I connect with to promote it, because you might want to reach out to a certain kind of TikTok influencer who likes horror and is going to create a certain kind of content. And that might not necessarily gel so well with your other books, which are aimed more at fantasy and younger people. So that was kind of the thinking there. I was just trying to sort of split them based more on genre than anything else. And I think it has worked quite well.
Mm. So you mentioned you sell your books on Ingram Spark, so you're not using KDP?
No, I don't use Amazon KDP at the minute. I might use it in future. I might use it alongside Ingram Spark, but at the minute, so far I quite like the process with Ingram, and it has worked quite well. I know that I need to experiment more and see how I can improve it, but I will probably use Amazon KDP in future, but at the minute it's just Ingram.
Okay, so why not KDP, since it's like the biggest platform for self-published authors? Because I use KD, I'm like in Ingram Spark. I'm still messing with it. My understanding is Ingram Spark is for booksellers to find your book, right? I mean, that's kind of the. So I just bought, like, it took me forever to figure this out because I'm a boomer, and I just I posted it on Ingram Spark. And my understanding is the idea, if I can go to any bookshop and I tell them, hey, you can order my book in hard copies from Ingram Spark, correct? That's the whole point. So why do you have it on Ingram
Mhm.
Spark as well for people to buy it from their store rather than using Amazon KDP? Why did you make that choice?
Yeah. I think long term, the plan is to do a lot more with independent booksellers. So, I want to. I'd rather support smaller independent booksellers in real life than support Amazon, if that makes sense. Like, obviously, Amazon's kind of a necessary evil in many ways, and
Yeah.
when it comes to books. So, I know there's a lot of independent bookstores won't touch your book if you know that you're selling it on Amazon. So, you do have to kind of make that choice sometimes. Some of them just, if it's on Amazon, they just won't sell it themselves. Um, so I think I'm trying to think longer term about it and about how I might want to work in conjunction with lots of small independent booksellers and promote them rather than just try and do it through Amazon. But it's a bit of it's a much of a muchness because I'm going to be trying things like paid ads and stuff a little bit more in 2026. I'm going to kind of experiment with that and see how that goes, and that's obviously going to be linked to Amazon more than anything else. So it might change in future, but yeah, I love being able to go into an independent bookstore and say, I have this book, and they can look it up and they can just order it themselves. And yeah, it's a nice feeling being able to support somebody else as a small business owner myself, I think.
Mm.
Yeah, nice to be able to do that.
But okay, let me understand. So if I have my book on both KDP and Ingram Spark, I can still walk to an independent bookstore and I tell them you can order it, correct? But but some of them,
Yeah, yeah, you can. Yeah.
But some of them you say, "Oh, you're on Amazon." But isn't that a bit pretentious? Don't you think? Is that you can go to a bookstore and they tell you, "Oh, you're on Amazon. We're not gonna touch your book." I mean, it's they're kind of cutting a lot of writers out of the equation. I
Mm.
mean, is or am I being again such a boomer that
No, not at
I
all.
yeah I feel like the bookstores that refuse to deal with Amazon, they might be even difficult to work with, no?
Yeah, I think, I personally, I do think that, bookstores definitely can still sell books that are on Amazon as well, and it really isn't that much of an issue, but I just know that there are some that think if my book is on Amazon, and I sell it for a certain price, first thing someone's gonna do is check what price it is on Amazon, and if it's cheaper, they're just gonna order it there rather than support the bookstore. So I think maybe that's their rationale about it, they're maybe just trying to think about their own sort of bottom line financially, but yeah, they definitely can't do both, so I think it just depends on which bookstore you approach.
Hmm. Okay. So I want to talk a bit about TikTok. And not many authors, at least on Substack, talk about TikTok and their success. So I'm gonna tell you my experience and tell me what I did wrong. So what I did is, and I always do things wrong, but anyways, so so what I did is
Don't we all?
I created this bookstore on or a store on TikTok through my company, and I had to go through like all this paperwork, and I did that, and then now I posted my books on the store, and so the two strategies that I did, one is I contacted all these influencers, I sent them the book, and they get a cut if they sell it through the store, and especially to go with live video. I only sold one through and that was not through an affiliate.
Mm.
That the affiliate did not sell me anything. The book that I sold in TikTok through the TikTok shop directly was me reading from the book, and I say, by the way, you can buy the book from this video, which is like the shoppable video, and that's been my strategy. But what have you been doing selling books on TikTok? I'm just curious to hear. And I think you should have a Substack post about selling books on TikTok because I think very few authors know about it or talk about it or know that this option exists.
Yeah. So probably kind of similarly to you, I have like a TikTok shop for my books, and similarly to you, I think I maybe only sold like one or two through that directly. So I don't know if I can speak to how effective TikTok shops are for selling books. Like what will happen for me is if someone sees my book on TikTok, they'll go and buy it somewhere else. They'll buy it, on Amazon or something, or Waterstones or wherever it is they get books. So I don't really direct people at any particular place to buy my books. I just say wherever you buy your books, just go and buy it there, wherever they're most comfortable with. So I don't know if TikTok Shop for me is definitely the best option, but in terms of promotion, I think TikTok is great because you've got a lot of people there who love making content about books,
Yeah.
and they love being on camera. They love, just they know how to do it so much more effectively than I do when it comes to TikTok. So I will give them digital copies, sometimes physical copies, and if they want to make content about the book, then they can. If they like it, they can make a review video, and then they can leave a review on Goodreads and Amazon and stuff too. So it's kind of you kind of kill multiple birds with one stone because you get reviews for your book, you get feedback, if there's any mistakes or things maybe that people don't like that you can maybe still fix if you have time, and you get sales as well. Because even if you give away a free digital copy sometimes to someone to read as a beta reader or an
Yeah.
ARC reader, they'll still go out and buy your book themselves anyway, just to have a physical copy of it. So, I find anyway that TikTok is an amazing platform for finding readers and people who are going to promote your book for you and do that kind of video kind of work that you don't want to do. So, it's been a positive experience so far for me.
So how are you finding these people? Are you using the affiliate program that they have, or you're just going randomly and looking for people and contacting them?
Yeah. So, for instance, if I've got a book coming out, like this Humbug that's coming out very soon, it's a horror novel. So what I'll do is I'll just go onto TikTok and I'll search things like book talk, horror, recommendations, that sort of stuff, and then just kind of browse through the videos that are there and see who's made a video recently where they're promoting other horror novels, and then I'll just reach out to that person via direct message and just say, "Hey, I've got this book coming out. Would you be interested in reading and reviewing it in advance if you like a free digital copy of it?" And you might have to contact a good number of people in order to get a few coming back being willing to do it. But generally, I would say maybe every like 10th person who you message will come back and say, yes, that's great. And you just send them a copy of it and they'll read it. Obviously, you have to keep a good list of those people, like on a spreadsheet, so you can reach out to them again in future and follow up with them to make sure they've actually read it. It is a bit of a long, grueling process, but I do think it is effective for getting reviews. Like, I think my books on Goodreads have a decent number of reviews compared to other books that have been out for longer, which still have less, so or fewer reviews. So, I think it is an effective strategy, and if I just actually sent more messages, I probably would do better with it. But it's worked so far.
Yeah, but you have not tried their affiliate program. And the affiliate program
Oh, yeah.
is, so you basically send them the book, copy of the book. You made them the copy of the book, and they keep promoting it, and then they take a cut from every sale. So if and so they promote it on
Mm,
their TikTok shop, because they will create shoppable videos for you, and then they'll take a cut if they sell your book.
mm.
Um, but yeah, so that's
Yeah, it's something I might do, yeah, in future, yeah, definitely.
so how much time are you spending on TikTok versus Substack versus your own writing versus all of what you do? Like, how is your day divided in terms of all these tasks that you're doing? Because like you're very active.
Mm. I think, TikTok I'm quite inconsistent with. There are times whenever I'll spend a lot of time on it and get really into it and send a lot of messages and create a lot of content and stuff like that. And then I'll maybe just go a few days or a few weeks without really looking at it very much, just kind of the way it is. Whereas Substack, I'm pretty consistent. I'm on every day and probably spend, a couple of hours in Substack a day at least, just kind of interacting and creating content and things like that. And then in terms of writing, I have a portion of time in the morning when I write fiction, or I'm supposed to anyway. And then I'll write stuff for Substack later in the day in the afternoon, and then work on other things in between. So I still work a general sort of like 9 to 5 length kind of day, but it's all on stuff that I want to do and still stuff that I find really good fun. So it doesn't ever feel like it's a lot of work. Yeah.
So in terms of how you're getting your income, do you have any client work, or like what are your income streams? Like how is your income coming from as
Mm,
a, I guess, full-time solopreneur? And you know that the whole premise of your Substack is how to to make living from writing. So
mm.
how what are your income streams if you're comfortable sharing?
Yeah, yeah, of course, yeah. So I mentioned to you just before we started, whenever we were in the green room,
Yeah.
that I recently started doing one-to-one coaching. So that's a relatively new thing for me, and that's one income stream, which will probably be a more
Oh,
significant one over time as I get more clients. Say
coaching
again?
on what do you coach them on? You're
Oh,
coaching on.
so yeah, so it's coaching on, building your personal brand and building like a writing base,
Okay.
kind of doing what I'm doing. A lot of people will come to me and want to know how to make money as a writer, and how do they build out this bigger audience? How do they build out a magnetic personal brand? And I'll just walk people through that journey, in doing that. And everybody's quite different, so it's very bespoke. But people often just need a lot of accountability and support
Okay.
and
Okay.
guidance along the way. And I really enjoy that one-to-one kind of process. So yeah. So that's one income stream, and that's gonna probably be a bigger one as time goes on. The second one, excuse me, is obviously through Substack, through paid my paid community and my VIP membership and that sort of thing. So I'll always promote my paid tier. I'll always create paid content, and I'm gonna do more paid content next year, and I'll periodically run offers as well for my paid tier as well. So that's a major one, obviously, in terms of Substack. And I try to supplement that with sponsorship whenever I can. So, excuse me, my voice is going already. Um, so with with brands or other creators who want to advertise with me through my articles or my podcasts, that sort of thing, I'm always open to that, and I'll sort of again do more with that probably next year. And then there's things like digital products. So I have like a few courses of varying sizes and scope that people can buy, and they can get those through automations and things like that too. So there's a lot of things going on at once, and that's just the writing side of things. I have my other business as well, and that also generates income. So and then obviously book sales as well.
Hmm.
So
What is the
there's a
biggest
lot of
chunk?
different things happening in conjunction, Natasha.
What is the biggest chunk? Like, where is your biggest chunk of income coming?
So it probably actually comes from my other business, which is more like a marketing kind of uh, platform, and it's taken me years to build it up. So I have like a nice sort of fairly passive process for it. But in terms of writing, the biggest chunk probably still comes from a combination of my paid tier kind of act as like boosters every so often. So I'll run a discount on my paid tier, or I'll give away like a bundle of different things. And they're kind of like bigger boosters. But as I said, I think coaching is going to be kind of like my bigger ticket item. I would imagine that that will become my biggest income stream probably sometime next year. All be
Hmm.
well.
So, speaking of next year, what are your plans, or let's say goals, for like selling books or and growing your business? Are you gonna experiment with new stuff? You mentioned coaching. What else do you want to double down on and maybe get rid of? Like, where are you headed?
Good question. So I think one thing I want to do a lot more of next year is live stuff. So I plan to do live webinars, just actual teaching sessions, sort of old school, PowerPoint kind of presentation, Canva, whatever, and walking people through a process for something. Try and do those regularly, like maybe once a month, and maybe alternate between free stuff and then maybe stuff that's just for paid members to take part in. So like master classes and stuff. So I want to do a lot more of that because I really like doing live sessions. I love speaking to people one to one or in small groups, that sort of thing. I may run a couple of boot camps potentially next year. I've never done that before by myself, but it's something I might try just to see how it goes. I'm always interested in trying new things. So I want to do at least one boot camp next year. And then in terms of books, I think I mentioned it earlier in the conversation, but I really want to experiment with paid ads for books as well. So I want to see if I can get a few paid campaigns going for my current books and maybe future books as well, just to see how it goes, see if I can get like a kind of sustainable system working for that to kind of sell books passively in
Mhm.
the background. So lots to do, and then that's obviously alongside. I want to write at least one or two more books next year as well, and along with finishing the one I'm currently writing, which is taking forever.
What is the one that you're currently writing?
So it's my third horror novel. I should have finished it in the summer, and it's almost the end of the year, and it's still got about another 20% to go. So it's been a bit of a long process.
Do you write every day on your fiction?
In theory, yes, I should write every day, and that's kind of what I used to do. I find that the last few months I've been waylaid by a few different things that have been happening, personally and just working. So it's kind of knocked my rhythm a little bit, but I'm trying to kind of work my way back into it again, in order to finish the book that I'm working on right now. Again, I'm trying lots of new stuff at the minute, introducing a lot of new things. Even the space that I record these videos in now is a different space, and I've been setting that up too. So I think once all those kind of things settle down and I get into a better pattern again, I'll be able to get back into writing fiction every single day. All being well.
Okay, so what is your secret to attracting such a huge following? I know you're very consistent and you work a lot, but like, how did you manage to amass over 30,000 followers And I think when I started following you, you were like probably maybe you had like 5,000 or something like this, and now you're like at over 30,000 followers. Like, what happened in a year? What did you do to get like triple your following? What did you eat? No, I'm just joking. Like what? So what happened in that year
Yeah.
that you have this massive following? Like, what did you do differently than maybe I said the year before?
Mm. Well, I think you mentioned the word consistency before, and I do think that's been a major part of it. It's a bit of a buzzword. It's a boring answer, but I think it's something that 90% of creators won't do. They won't stick at something for a very long time.
Okay.
Um, and push through those quieter, slower periods. So I tried to be on Stack every single day, try to post in a really regular rhythm, try and post on YouTube, post on TikTok, keep going with my podcast episodes. And I honestly think that consistency has been just the slow but steady driver of growth. Obviously, there's things like notes and recommendations and Substack's kind of inbuilt growth levers. I know you don't really want to talk about those too much today, but that's the kind of stuff that has always worked for me and continues to work. I know that for some people it works better than it does for me. I know there's other people here whose audiences are growing faster than mine, and that's totally cool. I'm at the minute I'm kind of more focused on growing my audience in terms of depth. So I've already got a good sized audience, and I really want to just go deeper with them and see if I can um, find more ways to serve them in a more tangible way. So, but consistency is the boring answer, but it's probably the most correct answer, I think.
Hmm. You mentioned YouTube, and I went to your YouTube the other day, and you have like thousands of followers. Are you monetized yet?
Not yet. I'm working towards it. So again, just the slow but steady kind of uh, upward line on that, and working towards trying to get enough. But I know that even if I am monetized, it probably won't produce an awful lot of income. I know it's TikTok's kind of or YouTube, sorry, is kind of in decline in that regard. I think from what I've heard from other creators on the platform. So I'm not overly worried if I don't get monetized on it, but I'm really just sharing the stuff that I'm sharing on Substack onto there anyway at the minute, like sharing my podcast episodes, like the video versions and stuff like that on Substack Lives. I just put onto YouTube. I might spend more time on YouTube next year. I might start to um, think more in depth about it, like how to put videos together that are more searchable potentially. I know other people here on Substack do a great job with YouTube, and they make amazing YouTube content, and probably seeing a lot more success than me because of that, because I spend more time on it. So I might do more with that next year, but it's just going to be whether I have time. And at the minute, what I'm doing is kind of at maximum capacity. So we'll see what
Yeah.
happens.
So you're basically taking your live stuff and your podcast and just repackaging them and putting them on YouTube. Did
Yeah.
have you? Is there like a funnel going from YouTube to Substack? Uh, I-
Yeah.
for your YouTube channel, and then from there go to your Substack. How is it going when in terms of that?
Mm. So what I'm actually doing at the minute is um, funneling people from, well, theoretically anyway, I'm funneling them from YouTube into a kit list, like a convert kit list that I have, which has an automation and like a welcome sequence that takes people through welcoming me and or welcoming them into my sphere and introduce them to what I do and things like that. And then from that, they can choose to subscribe on Substack if they want to, or they can stay on that list and they'll always receive like a weekly email. Obviously, they can go directly from YouTube to Substack as well. There's always a link to go directly there too. But in terms of like offering like a lead magnet or like an incentive, I'm sending them to this kit automation instead first because obviously Substack doesn't really give us an automation feature at this point apart from the welcome email. So um, until Substack maybe changes that process and makes it slightly more email friendly in that regard, then I'll keep using Kit alongside it, I think, as well.
Hmm. Do you think if Substack starts doing the automation, then it's gonna be a major blow to Kit, so people will just drop Kit and go completely with with Substack? Because like I use Kit, but mostly for this automation stuff. But do you think eventually it would be worth it to keep paying for Kit or no?
Well, I mean, they've just recently increased their fee, so I had to really ask that question myself. But I think if Substack does introduce a few more features like that, it would be very difficult to carry on with other external platforms, I think, as well. Like, I think, for instance, like what we're doing right now, where we're doing a live, and I'm able to do it through my computer now instead of on my phone. I think if Substack developed that a little bit more and had like a landscape version of this instead of the portrait phone version, which people can see right now, I think that will be huge in terms of maybe being able to facilitate webinar sessions and things like that through Substack, and I think that will be a real game changer as well. Maybe they don't have the capacity for that just yet because that'll be a lot of computation, I would imagine. But yeah, I think there's two or three things that if Substack was able to add, I think it would make it the really all encompassing everything up. But maybe they don't want to do that. Maybe they want to keep it the way it is.
Yeah, because like if Substack develops their community aspect more, like people might get rid of Circle and just go all in on Substack, and the same with Kit, and the same with a number of tools. For example, like hosting your podcast, I still use an external host, which is Buzzsprout for my podcast, for my other podcast. And then I have the Substack podcast, which is this is part of is hosted on Substack. So like eventually, how long can I justify paying for an external host, right? But recently,
Yeah.
actually, they gave me a free ticket to go to Podfest in Florida. So that's something. So I'm going to Florida
So
to their conference, like one of the biggest podcasting conferences. But I mean, those as the things is because we're always bootstrapping, right? As solopreneurs, and we have to, watch every penny at this point. Okay, so who
yeah.
are the biggest, let's say, subs, or let's say the people on Substack that inspire you, that you've tried to follow in their footsteps? Like, for example, for me, I always watch what you do. Like, you're one of my biggest inspiration. You like
Thank you.
Veronica and Fairy and Maya. These are the people that I always follow. Um,
Mm.
and for you, who do you like to follow, and for what aspect of your business? Like for book selling, for personal branding. So if you can just drop in some names, that would be fun. So you see, like, who's the person that you're always happy to see in your inbox, or you see their notes, or I'm just curious to hear.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's hard to narrow down because all the guys you mentioned are people I really love as well. I love their stuff, and you as well, of course, Natasha. But I think it is hard to know specifically. Like, obviously, Philip and Sinem and Yari from Right Build Scale have done a lot of stuff with them, and I love what they do, and they have a really really in depth process, and I've got to meet them in real life, which is really nice as well, and actually talk to them about it. So that was really cool. And yeah, but there's a ton of people like uh, recently been speaking to Taylor Simmons a few times, and he's a great guy, and I love what he does as well. And he's kind of coming from externally into Substack now, and he's got these different perspectives on it. So it's really cool hearing the way he thinks about it. I love what Derek Hughes does. He's got a really good process for things. Yeah, who else is there? So many people. There's other big creators as well who've come obviously from externally, like Justin Welsh and Jay Klaus and Erica Schneider and those kind of people who are done an amazing job outside of Substack, and they're now bringing their expertise to the platform
Mm,
as well. So that's really exciting to see. But yeah, but there's so many people though. I'm always just interested in how people do things, and like Anna Kaelin's another good example, and people who just experiment a lot, and they're always kind of just seeing what works and what doesn't work, and be very open about what works and what doesn't work, which I think is really important to talk
mm.
about your wins and the things that haven't worked for you. So, um, Yeah, it changes all the time, but I think that's what's great about Substack. It's such a great community, and everyone's very open, and no one's really trying to, like, climb over anybody else to get to the top, and yeah, I love that about it.
Hmm. What about someone who's an independent author or self-published author that's been like selling a lot of books and like doing really well? That someone that um, you follow what they do and you try to like imitate them.
Mm. Well, that's actually a good question because, I don't actually interestingly, there aren't very many people that come to mind when I think about people who sell books through Substack. Like I know that obviously, like Russell No Helty will sell. He sells books through things. He does all the Kickstarter stuff, and Substack's linked to that. And um, uh, Simon is it Simon Jones? I think he does a lot of like fiction stuff. He writes directly on Substack, which is really good. Like serializes his books on the platform itself. But yeah, I mean, it's a good question. I think we as authors can do more with Substack to sell our books, and I should definitely do more with it as well. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see over the next few weeks and months what we're
Huh.
able to do with it.
Let's co-write a Substack post, you and me, called "How to Sell Books on Substack." And I think that because the topic of
But,
selling books on Substack has not been, I think, a pro. I know Fleur and Christina. They started their
Christina,
yeah, they started their shop for independent authors. That I thought that was a good initiative. But I'm thinking more of kind of the
yeah,
tactics, like the one to do. Like for you, if like get practical, I see you always like plug plug your book in the midst of like a post about something else, like it will pop up. You mention it, like these are kind of the steps. You like if you have like okay, you mention you carry a copy of your book before the live, you put it in like in the middle of your post, you have it. Another way I've been thinking about, which is I give away a free short story through Gumroad, and then Gumroad
mm,
puts them in a workflow that takes them to my books. I was like, "Hey, did you enjoy the short story? If you, well,
nice.
so that's another kind of experimentation that I've been doing on the side, and I plug that link to
Mm,
Gumroad's free short story in my Substack post. But these are some of the ideas. But I think we can like really dig deep into ways how you can actually use the platform itself to sell books.
yeah,
But
for sure.
some something, let's do it. Let's work on it.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah. So I know we have a few minutes left. I know you have another meeting. I think I the last thing I want to ask is about your sponsorship. You mentioned sponsorship. And I noticed, I think you're the only one that I see that have sponsors in their newsletter. How did you get these sponsors and how is that going?
So I haven't done an awful lot with it the last maybe 6 months. It's something I did more last year and the start of this year, but I literally just reached out to those sponsors on their websites or on LinkedIn, that sort of thing, and just sent them an email and just pitched it and said, "Look, I have this audience. I think you'd be a good fit in terms of your brand. And would you be interested in one of these packages that I've offered or whatever?" And again, like most won't come back to you, but some will, and some will be interested in doing it. I've also used a platform called Passion Fruit, which is really good for just having like a kind of like landing page with your package offers on it. So I've used that at times in the past and have got sponsors through that as well. But yeah, I think it's really about just trying to think of sponsors that match with your audience, that your audience are going to like and find useful, and especially if it's something that you've used yourself extensively, then that's kind of the perfect sponsor. So, I think for me, I'm most eager to find sponsors for my podcast because I love to monetize that more and just do more with it if I can. And then it obviously feeds into YouTube and all as well. So it's a good opportunity. But I think if you have a sponsor that you like, if there's a brand that you like, the best thing is just to send them an email or a message and just tell them that you love them, tell them why, and just offer them something. If they're interested, then great. And if not, that's okay.
Hmm,
I'm
that's a
actually going
good.
to be speaking to kind of the expert in this kind of stuff. Uh, Yeah, I'm gonna be speaking to the expert in this stuff, Justin Moore, in January. So he really is kind of a guy. He knows how to get sponsors, and he's gonna be on
Who's
my podcast. So I'm gonna ask him a lot of questions and see what he says. Justin Moore.
I don't know. Okay. So you
I'll put it in the
mentioned
chat.
so you mentioned you're getting a podcast. So like I had my podcast for over 3 years, and I Justin Moore. I think yeah,
Mm.
I think I've seen him around. Um, and I've never got a single sponsor. And so what I think because I'm that's my arrogance. I'm waiting for the sponsors to come to me. I'm playing hard to get, but but what are you But what are you saying is that you actually reach out to a brand. So let's say you like, my podcast is about interview with authors, read around with Natasha. So like I would go to someone like, I don't know, book of the month. Like, probably maybe I'm too small for them, but like let's say for the sake of example, and they say, "Hey, would you like to come?" And then usually they would respond. Or you mentioned passion fruit, so you use the passion fruit package you have to reach out to sponsors. Is that so? Basically, you're actually reaching out. So you're doing a
Yeah.
lot. You're reaching out to sponsors. You're writing books. You're going live. You're writing I mean, this is like a lot of work. I mean, nonstop.
Mm,
Um,
it is. I'm trying to find ways to do it in a more manageable way. That's kind of the constant battle, I think.
do you have a VA?
No, I don't.
So you're actually editing your own podcast yourself, with adding the music and all that? Yeah. Like
Yeah.
for me, I outsource the editing. I just can't spend 2 hours per episode editing. It's just I can't. This is it. I pay someone to do that for me. I mean, that's the only
Mm.
VA that I have, which is just editing the podcast at this point. But
I did have someone. I did have someone to edit podcast episodes, but then I found out that they were just kind of putting it through like an AI filter, and then it was kind of producing kind of clunky, like a clunky listening experience. So then I sort of just started doing it myself. But my editing is like so minimal. It literally is just like a bit at the start, a bit at the end, just fix a few mistakes along the way, and that's it. So it doesn't take very long to do it.
yeah, yeah.
Mm.
All right. Well, thank you very much, David. I know you have to go now, but this has been amazing as always, filled with many tips. And let's talk about writing. You joined Substack post about how to sell books on Substack, but this is really amazing. And thank you for everyone who joined us today. I don't see any questions, but we had like almost 60 people joined. Of course, they're all showing up for you, David. No one's showing up for me.
Don't be shy. They're here for you.
But thank you very much for your time, and happy holidays. And I will see you on Substack.
Thanks so much, Tasha. Really delighted to be here. And
Oh,
yeah, thank you so much for your time.
of course. Take care. See you.
Bye bye.